And I remember there was construction happening there, and every like hour or so there was like this huge sonic boom, and people would be like freaked out of their minds. Like people would jump out of their seats, and I think they were doing like some dynamite like explosions or something.
I appreciate you both doing this. I'm Adam.
Nice to meet you,
Yeah,
Adam. Thanks for
thanks for
having
having me.
us.
Of course. So this podcast is about the both of you. I want to find out how you all met, and we'll talk about new music and how you got to where you are now.
Right on.
Awesome.
Cool. Well, let's start with you, Diego. Where were you born and raised?
I was born in, I don't know where you're located.
I'm from San Diego originally. I'm in Nashville now, but
Right on.
I'm from
I,
Southern California.
I grew up in San Fernando Valley, so the valley
Okay.
in California. Half of my life there, and then I moved up here to, we call it DAV, but it's Lancaster, Palmdale area.
Okay.
When I was maybe 15, so I've been here since. So half my life in the valley and half of my life here.
Very cool. What about you, Alastair? Are you from California as well?
Same. I was born in Tarzana, California, and
Okay.
spent up until like, I don't know, 7 or 8. I was in LA, and then after the Rodney King riots, my
Oh,
my mom moved us up to Lancaster.
there you
So
go. Right on. What about a musical household? Do you come from a musical household, Alistair?
not so much. My musical history was just like hanging out with friends. If I wasn't skateboarding, I was playing music with friends. And that's where I spent a majority of like all my hangout time with either my skateboarding friends and musician friends.
Rad. Yeah, I grew up skateboarding too. That's where I got actually a lot of the music I listened to came out of those old skateboarding videos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you had that same experience, but like remember watching, old like girl videos or
Hmm.
the zero videos and stuff and being like, oh man, who's this? And look it up and be like Iron Maiden or something. Discovering some of these bands just via the whatever song the skater chose for their part.
Yeah. Yeah. That. And also like, I found out about Gangstar through like snowboarding videos
Oh
and,
sure.
Tony Hawk, the pro skater video
Oh
game and all that
yeah.
stuff.
Tony
So
Hawk for sure.
Yeah, he always had a great soundtrack, huh?
Yeah.
Um, so okay, what about you, Diego? Do you come from a musical household?
No, same. Parents were very musical and actually didn't expose me to a lot of music growing up. They just didn't listen to a ton of music. So a lot of that came in my teenage years, either just through friends or just kind of doing research on my own and kind of developing my own taste in music. So that came towards the teenage years of my life.
Okay. What about an instrument? Did you like what
I
was the
started
first instrument?
playing guitar or maybe bass, and all of it was self-taught. So I learned guitar first, and then a little bit of keyboard, and yeah, so just kind of
Wow.
on my own.
How old are you when you started learning guitar?
Probably around 14, 15, and that was kind of because of the lack of things to do here in the AV, at least in my experience. It was either play sports in high school, which sort of appealed to me, but I probably wasn't big or tall enough to play sports. So I just kind of, shifted the attention to music. So yeah, I'm grateful for, I didn't like the AV for a long time, but I think that's what helped me get into music was the lack of things to do.
Sure. Uh, what about you, Alistair? What was the first instrument you learned and how old were you?
I remember taking violin lessons at an early age, third, fourth grade. Didn't really like it. My teacher, she was super mean
Oh,
and kind of
that's
ruined the
good.
experience and like learning how to read music and all that stuff. So I had that kind of grudge against that for a while, until I started like hanging out with friends. And the cool thing was like, let's be in a band. We all didn't know what that meant. but you know, like you pick an instrument, and for me it was bass, but I don't think I even learned how to play bass. One summer, my friend left his drum set at my house for an entire summer, and that was the end of it. I was a drummer ever since then. So
Oh,
learning
wow.
like Nirvana songs, and I've learned a lot of music through just learning my favorite songs, as like all my favorite bands, Incubus, Deftones, you know, Linkin Park, whatever. So
Did you
I
play in
memorized a
bands?
lot.
Oh, okay. Did you play in
Uh,
different bands in high school or no?
no, I mean, it was like I had like close friends where we stuck together musically. And then we had our like, oh, it'd be cool to, you know, for him, we were always looking for a singer. And not until like my senior year in high school is where we actually like landed a singer. But throughout high school, like we do like talent shows, and most of it was just like after school we'd go hang out and play music.
That's cool.
So
It's interesting that you couldn't find a singer. I would think that like everybody's like, oh, I'm gonna be the front man. Like I always thought
yeah,
like the drummer was the hardest person to find. Like if you were the drummer, you could play in any band.
for sure.
That's just funny that the singer was the guy or whoever person that you couldn't really grasp early on. But what about you, Diego? Did you play in bands or anything?
Not a ton of bands besides friends in high school that, you know, we would get together and go to someone's garage or someone's house. There was a house that I grew up playing a lot of music in, and you know, fucking loudest like house in the neighborhood, just
There you go.
hours at a time. So I played a lot of music there, but most of my music experience came from playing at churches. I grew up going to a very small Hispanic, like Pentecostal church, and you know, where services are hours long, and there really is no musical agenda. You just kind of play as it goes, and that's how I learned how to play with a band and how I got better. So yeah,
That's
that's
interesting.
my
I've heard
experience.
that before. A lot of people that have talked about kind of getting that first experience playing in front of people or playing in a live setting at church. And I mean,
Yeah,
you already have a bunch of people there, right? I mean, you're
yeah,
playing in front of a crowd no
an
matter.
audience. Yeah,
Yeah, you have an audience, and it's something that you do, you know, probably weekly, if not a
yeah,
couple times a week.
yeah. A couple in this instance, it was a couple times a week. So definitely a lot of experience, as funny as it sounds, but yeah, that's most of where I gained a lot of experience at a young age too, just because the need was there, and it was like he could play guitar and I was 14, 15 playing with adults, you know, so
Yeah, you're like, well, I
a
got to be
lot
here
more
anyway.
experience.
Might
Yeah,
as well play guitar.
yeah. So that's more of my background with music.
That's cool. Did you guys go to the same high school or grow up together?
No,
No.
Oh, so when did you both meet each other?
we did the math the
Uh,
other day.
yeah. So
So we base it off how old
my
Alastair's younger
youngest.
than
Oh,
Yeah,
you're younger.
oh, so my wife was pregnant with our youngest child. His name's Ziggy, and it was like in 2015. So I do pro audio as another thing that I do.
Uh-huh.
So I got hired to do kind of like this. It's like a bigger festival in our town, and I was running the youth stage, and so I was responsible for audio production, all that stuff. Well, she ended up going to labor that weekend.
Oh,
So
wow. Okay.
I was pretty stressed out. I was like looking for someone just to fill in my like responsibilities.
Uh-huh.
And a friend of ours, he mentioned, oh, I know this guy Diego. He's great. You should. I think he'd be the perfect person to run your show. And so I remember meeting him on Friday, and the show was Saturday, and then Ziggy was born on Sunday. So
Wow. That's
yeah,
quite the eventful weekend, right? Okay.
yeah.
So you've met that way, but then when do you realize that you should start working together or start writing music together?
took a while, maybe 2018, 2017, around
Oh,
there.
so you knew each other for a while. Did you stay friends, or was it just like the one-time thing? And
It kind of was a one-time thing that time, and we just kind of kept in contact. I do production stuff too. I do audio. I'm a freelance audio engineer and all
Cool.
that. So we knew of each other. And then
Mhm.
I needed something. I needed to rent some gear from you for a gig that I had. So we kind of rekindled the friendship maybe a year after that.
Mhm.
And since then we became good friends, and we both are musicians. And slowly, at some point, I was going through a lot of stress at work and just kind of needed an outlet. And I hadn't been playing music, in a real intentional way for a couple years. So I started hitting up Alastair, and I was like, yo, Alastair has a really nice rehearsal room, and it isn't in a neighborhood. It's kind of removed from people, so you can really make a lot of noise. So I
Not
was
like the
like,
other house.
yeah, not like the other house I grew up playing. And so we started getting together with really no agenda or anything. We were just jamming, just kind of getting to know each other musically and taste and stuff. And that's kind of how we started making music. So it was really from a really organic, just kind of bullshit way. Like there was no agenda.
When did it like was there did you start making a couple songs together that you're like, oh, this could be cool, like let's start a project? Or like how did
It
the group kind of form as
felt
like
like it just kind of like it just grew organically, and then both of us, since we have like the way our minds work, like, oh, let's try something. So we had a goal in mind. Let's make a live video of some sort. And Diego's proficient in all the video editing, and so we had a goal in mind, and we produced 2 videos by ourselves, and we put it out, and we had a lot of support from friends and family. um, and then we kind of just let's just I've always been in a like let's just keep going, um, with no agenda. But I like how this is where this is going, and I'm down to keep making music as long as you are. And now we are.
wow. And it started off like an instrumental project, right? Wasn't it mainly instrumental?
Yeah, we're signed as an instrumental band.
Is it all still instrumental? I thought you had songs with
Yeah, there's songs with vocals, and it's still very, very like washed out vocals where it's kind of ambient. I wouldn't say it's like for sure vocals, but there are vocals in
I was gonna
songs.
say the song I was listening to, I listened to a few of them that had vocals. So I'm like,
Yeah, yeah.
shit, was I listening to the wrong band?
No, no, there's
Like
definitely
what?
vocals. There's more vocals now than there were, but I don't know. I guess we are an instrumental band. A lot of the songs we still make are instrumental, but there probably will be more vocals on the rest of the stuff we do, either if it's collaborations or me
Okay.
singing.
Was that always like in the beginning was it like, oh, let's just make a bunch of cool like music instrumental? Like there wasn't or it's just interesting to me, like Alistair, you're talking about couldn't find a singer, and like this band kind of
Yeah.
takes off as like an instrumental band, and it didn't even need that element to it, really, at least in the beginning.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. I think I think we were intentionally wanting it to be an instrumental band. The first songs we had were all instrumental, and that's kind of what we labeled it as
Mhm.
moving forward. And when we signed to Tooth and Nail, they were like, you're an instrumental band, like we don't have anything like that. So but they weren't close to us trying things. And the first song we had, or I had lyrics to, or an idea to, just kind of came out of nowhere, and we're like, let's just try it. And it worked. So we had some good response from that, from close friends and people who we trust, and they kind of pushed you know you should try it, putting some more lyrics and melody to things, because it's interesting.
Mhm. Was
So
that something like were you like you said, it just kind of came to you, the lyrics did, and you're like, oh, let's just put it down as a song? Or like tell me about writing it, I guess.
We at this point we had access to a cool cabin up in Wrightwood, California, and we had been there for about a week, just working on new material with some friends and just kind of helping us produce. And we had been working on the song kind of the whole day, and I felt like it was missing something. We had gotten pretty far into it, and then I just started kind of humming a melody, and I think Alastair was just kind of like, yeah, you should maybe try putting lyrics to it, or I forget the exact scenario, but I started having an idea of what, what the song could mean and all that. So I had an idea of it being based around my dad's story coming to this country, and uh, kind of the embodiment of what a immigrant parent is and all that. So just kind of painted that picture in my own way, and wrote some really avant-garde, like lyrics to it. Like they're kind of hard to figure out what they mean, but yeah, that's kind of how it came.
Wow. And then you went for it, and obviously it worked.
Yeah.
Were you nervous to sing on the track, or had you done that, or was singing something that kind of you already knew you could do?
Not nervous, more maybe hesitant, just because we were an instrumental band, and it was just kind of like, I don't know. I don't know if the label's gonna care for it, or just kind of doubting if it was good. But no,
Sure.
not nervous or anything, just kind of curious about what it could mean.
Okay. And how did you guys get hooked up with Tooth and Nail? I mean, that's a legendary label. Especially growing up in my time period, it was just like a lot of bands were coming off of that label or getting signed to that label. Was that a label you were familiar with and you knew you wanted to sign to? And how did you form that relationship?
I was familiar with the label. Same with you, growing up with bands. And I remember one of the first labels I actually learned about was Tooth and Nail from a band called Blindside.
Oh yeah.
And I remember flipping over their CD and seeing the Tooth and Nail logo and wondering what that was about. But Diego hadn't really heard of the label, right?
Yeah, I mean, maybe it rang a bell, but I wasn't too familiar with that era. Was maybe too I was too young for it, maybe. So yeah, I wasn't too aware. But the reason why we got hooked up with them was I had been doing an audio gig for a while at a church with I forget what his title there at the time was. He was like, I guess, the music director or something like that.
Uh-huh.
I had kind of got close to him, and I didn't know that he was an A&R for Tooth and Nail.
Oh
And
wow.
somehow he found out that I made music. I think in a conversation we like had a moment where we shared like similar artists. I don't know if you're familiar with the instrumental world, but there's an artist called Tycho, and he's kind of poster child for that genre.
Uh-huh.
And we bonded over that, and then just kind of conversation to conversation, he mentioned he had seen some of the music that I've made, and he was like, would you be interested if I shared this with some of my friends and some of my work people, just to see if they're interested in maybe giving you a deal for this thing. And he mentioned the label, and I was like, yeah, it could be cool. So a couple of weeks later, he reached back out, and he was like, hey, I have a deal memo I want you to check out and see if you're interested. So he shot it over to me, and I called Alastair. I was like, hey, there's this label called Tooth and Nail that wants to sign us, and here's the memo. What do you think? So
When you get that, I mean, that's huge. I mean, Brandon Ebel and everything that Tooth and Nail has done over the years is like legendary, right? To get that call, Alistair, tell me about that. Like, oh yeah, I know about this label. Like, what?
Yeah,
Like, do you even
yeah.
know that was happening, kind of behind the scenes?
I mean, I remember him talking about like his friend Brian and
Well, real
being
quick,
interested in the music.
what's the guy's name? The A&R, you know, is it Brian Ortiz?
Yeah.
Please tell me it is. That's
Yeah.
so
Yes.
funny. He's my neighbor.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's great.
I gotta tell him. Okay, sorry, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah. So
His kids and my kids are all like really good friends. My younger son and his younger son are like best friends. Like we're on the
And
same
they skate a
baseball
lot
team.
too, probably.
Oh, his middle one does, and the little
Yeah.
one, a
Middle
little
one.
bit. Yeah,
Okay.
but yeah, his youngest son and my son are the same age, same class. They were on the same baseball team, and that's
Ah,
funny that when he said Brian, I'm like, and I was wondering if it was gonna be him, but he works more on the BC side of things,
yeah,
so I didn't
BC
know.
stuff.
Okay, sorry, go ahead. That's so good. I got to call him after this.
yeah. So, Diego mentioned it. And in my experience with the whole music thing, because like, I'm past 30 at this point, almost ready to throw in the towel, like, okay, I'm not gonna live this dream of being a musician or being a part of an original band, but it's almost like too good to be true in a way.
Mhm.
And so when the contract or the you know whatever they gave us, I read through it and called a couple friends. um yeah, it was kind of surreal, so we went for it. I had a friend that was in law school and kind of looked over, and he said everything seemed pretty legit, so that's kind of where we went with it.
That's amazing. That's really cool. And then you guys just put a record out, like what, 2 weeks ago or something?
Yeah. The 14th, 13th of January.
Yeah. So when did that album start coming, or when did that EP start kind of coming together?
Last year actually, right around maybe a few weeks. It started around the time we released it, so early January of 2022.
Oh,
Uh,
and then it just came
and
out
then it released that almost like a year
a year
after.
after.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, we started working, yeah, pretty early on. I had demos that we had been toying with, and then we wanted to maybe work with a producer or someone outside of us for this one. So we started a friendship and relationship with a big hero of mine. His name is Roy Mitchell Cardenas. He played in a band called Mute Math for
Oh yeah, I know that
years.
band. Yeah.
So started a friendship with him, and we started toying with the idea of him coming out and help us kind of just get these songs off the ground, and it worked out. He came out and stayed. We worked in this room for, I don't know, like half a week, a little over half a week. And he really helped us take some of the demos and really just kind of push them to like uh a better place. So that was really cool experience. And then it took us a while just because of work schedules and just life happening. It took us a while to finish it, in my opinion, but it was a cool experience. I had a lot of fun with it.
And
Yeah.
sorry, go ahead, Alistair.
Oh, I was just going to mention, like, it was cool that the label was kind of, they let us do our thing when we first signed the contract. It was, it was 10 songs, and they let us put out 5 first, and then this is the remaining 5 of the contract. So we had an EP called No Rush, No Rush, No Curfew.
Mhm.
And that was the where we worked in Wrightwood and furthered a lot of those songs. And so when that came out, it was like, okay, cool. We got this 5 songs out, but Brian was like on us. He's like, okay, let's get these other 5 songs going. So that was when we last January when Roy came out.
Wow. So the first one you did, No Rush, No Curfew, was just the two of you. You produced the whole thing yourselves.
And some friends. We
Okay.
have a friend of ours, Mario Gonzalez. He's basically plays bass with us live, and he was there. And then another friend of ours, Josh Valle. He's producer, guitarist. He helped us with a few things. But yeah, most of it was us. We spent a lot of time on our own
Mhm.
working on that.
And then getting a producer, especially someone you looked up to, for the next go around. How much different was that working on this newest one?
Um, I think it was similar. I think Roy was careful to not disturb, but just kind of, he was, I think, observant of the way we worked.
Mhm.
And he was trying to see where he can fit. It wasn't like a full-on producer role where he's like, we're going to do it this way, and this is the way I know works. So he felt kind of just like an addition to what we were doing. And again, we we didn't have months together, so it was really quick. Let's try to get as much as we can right now,
Mhm.
since you're only here for half a week. So it was cool. I think it was just like a very collaborative environment where, we would bounce ideas off each other and just kind of go with the flow, and then just kind of building chunks at a time. So we got this now. Now Roy's gone. Let's get it to the next place, and sending him bounces of like, oh, what do you think about this? What are your thoughts on this? And then in the summer, I went to Nashville to kind of just hang out, just meet some people, and then see Roy. And kind of, we were supposed to work on other things, just other projects that he has going, and we were already so close with finishing this EP that it was like, let's just let's hear if you hear anything that sticks out to you, and maybe change a few things or add a few things that it may be missing. So we added a lot of bass stuff and just sprinkles here and there that made some differences. And I came back, and it was kind of like mix mode at that point.
Wow, that's amazing. So
Yeah,
you came out here to kind of wrap it up. That's awesome.
sort of. Yeah, it was I don't know, sometime in like, I remember it was hot. It was hot and
Yeah.
humid.
It's a part of the summer.
I can't remember when. I don't know if it was in August or June, July maybe, but yeah, it was hot. Roy lives in the area of shoot, it's like north of central Nashville.
Oh,
Really
okay,
cool, really cool
Madison
place.
maybe or something. I don't know.
Something like that.
Yeah, because
It was a
Brian and
funny.
I live way down south of Nashville.
That's right. Because I saw Brian on that trip he took me to. I remember I had breakfast with Brian, and then I had lunch with another friend of ours. His name is Clay Hunt. Um, and then I think I had dinner with someone else, all at the same restaurant the same day. It was
The
called like,
waiters and waitresses like, what the hell? This guy really loves this spot.
yeah,
He's bringing 3 people here today.
it was like Pinewood something, Pinewood Social or
Oh yeah. Okay, I
something
know
like
that
that.
place. Yeah.
Yeah, so I went there
3
three times
times.
in one day. Yeah.
Yeah, well, hopefully you liked it.
Yeah, it was cool. It was nice. A big place. And I remember there was construction happening there, and every like hour or so there was like this huge sonic boom, and people would be like freaked out of their minds. Like people would jump out of their seats, and I think they were doing like some dynamite like explosions or something.
Nice.
Yeah. Interesting.
That's funny. Well, are you guys gonna do like a tour or anything to support? I did see you did an album release or a record release. Are you planning to come and bring this thing around the country or anything? Or
Not as of now.
okay,
There's no plans. We would like to, but touring is also a conversation we've had. We both have jobs, and Alastair has kids.
kids, yeah.
So the idea of touring and just getting in a van and kind of doing it like we were in our 20s is getting harder
It's
and
a bit more
harder.
difficult when you start getting in your 30s, huh?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think the honest response to it is, I think we're wanting to do things that make sense, which sounds kind of pretentious, but yeah, it has to make sense for us to, you know, put some things into question and jeopardize certain things, just because we have really good setups work wise,
Sure. Yeah,
and
no, it makes a lot of sense.
yeah, leaving family is also hard. So
Uh-huh.
as of now, no, nothing on the books. We vaguely talked about maybe doing a show in Nashville with some friends of ours that did a show with us for this release party.
Oh, cool.
That's with Roy again, and then the drummer that was part of Meat Math, Darren King. They have a project that is probably gonna start doing some things real soon. They kind of debuted it at this release party.
Oh, wow.
As an instrumental project too. So
Oh, cool.
I don't know, we had small conversations and small winks of maybe we do some stuff together. But that's just wishful thinking. We'll see what happens.
Sure. Well, I appreciate you both doing this. Thank you so much for hanging out today.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
I do have one more quick question for the both of you. I want to know if I can get an answer from each of you as well. If you have any advice for aspiring artists.
You want to go first, or?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just, it's you know, you get in what you put in. So, you know, work pays off. You got to be consistent. And you know, I'm 36, and it took a long time to get here, and it wasn't like it just happened. So I don't know, just keep working.
Love it. What about you, Diego?
I would say just make sure that you like. I think that's number one. It's cool to follow trends and what's hot and what's relevant and stuff, but I think it's important to always make stuff that you like and that you're proud of. And yeah, just work at it, because it at some point, if you do have goals, I think they start paying off if you put in the work. So.